We'll continue our conversation with Joe Ajero, factional president of the NLC, about their plan to embark on strike. Well, if you look at this, many will say the state councils, so we're talking about getting information from them, which you're going to base your decisions on. When is that likely going to happen?
Well, in this problem of non-payment of salaries, we can't equally absolve some of our members and state councils.
Why?
Yeah, you know, if you watch, some of them even allowed some governors to even be re-elected, even after owing them salaries for 3-4 months. So you notice, yes, you notice collaboration, because such governors shouldn't have come back if you are owing 3-4 months salary. But they kept silence. If you watch, this agitation came almost after the election.
So you think that it puts a credibility on the unions?
Yeah, some of the union leaders.
It's a question of credibility, rather, on some of the leaders of the unions.
Yes, especially in some of the states. And that is what happens during the election of state councils. You know, some of the governors push to have their candidates either as chairman or secretary of such councils. And it's for reasons like this. If you watch the election of all state councils before the last, almost the 36 state councils were people from the public service. 36 states. And that was part of even the crisis we had at the national. Now, if those people are government workers who are equally supported by government governors to emerge as NLC leaders in the states, now you can imagine, you know, because first and foremost, some of them have even been terminated, you know, from their jobs after serving as NLC chairman. Now, it doesn't happen the same way if somebody is from the private sector and is leading that state. So that is the politics. In all these states, there are some of them that I will tell you that there was criminal collaboration, because they didn't even tell the national that there was salary problem. They didn't inform us on anything. Suddenly, after election, you know, the whole country was let loose.
Isn't that going to impede on the capacity of labor to then embark on strike?
Well, that has gone out of their hands as at now. Yeah, and if you watch what we are saying, well, some of us maybe from private sector and then the public sector, if there's a combined effort, of course, some of the states have been on strike for some time. It didn't have effect, you know. But if it is combined, and that maybe from this other side, we stop supply of electricity, we stop petroleum supply, banks are not working, then it will have effect. So that's a combined effort now. You know, they don't have control over it from states. Either you are talking of health worker or civil servant, it will now be combined, whether health, civil service, the private sector, then the action will have effect.
Well, we're hoping that there will be no strikes.
And we pray so.
Because oftentimes government workers, or beg your pardon, government whom you're protesting against are not the ones who feel the brunt of the strike.
Yeah.
But you know, asking though, do you now have a figure that you're going to be demanding for as the new minimum wage?
Yeah, as at even the May Day, we had put proposal, because this is all about proposal. When you make demand, the government comes up, you know, with its own records, and then you now agree on a realistic amount. You know, we have put across about 90,000 minimum wage demand, you know, subject to negotiation.
How did you arrive at this figure?
Well, a lot, you know. Maybe if you take cost of living index, you know, a family of 4, husband and wife, you know, cost of transportation to office, house rent, children's school fees, and all that. In fact, it's more than that. You know, but when we talk, we now look at it realistically. If we equally look at the issue of inflation, you know, we factored in all those ones, and we are going to justify it when we go to the negotiating table. You know, but however, when you say this is your demand, it doesn't mean that that is final. You know, they should come with equally some of their points, including what you mentioned now. You know, oil revenue, whether that is the only revenue. You know, we equally know what is coming through custom and excise. So what is coming from tax.
Yeah, but is labor also tying some of this, you know, its demand to productivity? Because some people say that we do not understand how it is that states will not have money. When they have workers, don't these workers generate money?
Well, it depends on what is happening currently, in terms of productivity. There are certain jobs, in most instances, it's difficult for you to say this person has produced 1 naira or 2 naira. But let me say this. The system has been so bastardized. Before now, the public service work. There are these people who call a public works department in those days, which transformed to Federal Ministry of Works. If you watch the roads on daily basis, they are patching the roads. Today, you still have workers in the Ministry of Works, but you contract that job out. Now, you still want to measure the productivity of the person. You have contracted the job out to a constructing firm.
Isn't it because of the capacity?
It's not because of the capacity, because of the corruption, embedded in the award of contracts.
Oh, hold on. But if the Public Works Department moves out, as they usually do in those days, to monitor the roads and repair bad spots, will the government be forced, or will the government still go out to contract them out when they see that it's getting real bad?
Well, they can't equally go out without being asked to go out, without providing, the materials for them to work.
I mean, Public Works Department, they have their budget, right? On a yearly basis. And within that budget, they have materials they need to buy for repair of roads. Is it true or false?
It used to be.
It used to be.
Yeah.
So that's not the situation now.
No. Because if that is the situation, somebody must be held responsible for not doing his job. So where do you bring this concrete? Where do you bring the bulldozer? Where do you bring these trucks to maintain the roads? Now, do you have engineers there? Yes. If you have engineers there, why are they not out there?
So are you implying that they should be sacked?
Well, I'm implying that there's a lack of leadership to direct them on what to do. Because if I work in the Public Works Department, in the morning I won't just go out to Lagos-Ibadan Express to work. There must be a job schedule of a supervisor who takes us there, who will mobilize, bring tools for us to work, to patch the roads. There must be. But if the supervisor or the minister appointed, or governor appointed, or commissioner decides to contract that job out, in most instances, they can still use those engineers in those departments to do private works.
But what do you say to those who say that, look, we've given some of those engineers who you say we can't use, and the quality that they saw was not good enough? There are cases like that, aren't there?
I'm not aware, but if there are cases like that, you have put question to their capacity, their ability to work. What happens? You fire them.
How do you build capacity if you fire them? If you fire them, labor will jump on.
No, labor doesn't jump, because there are a lot of Nigerians that are effective, efficient. So if you employ somebody as a civil engineer in the Federal Ministry of Works, it's expected that you must have interviewed him among other Nigerians to be competent. So if he's not competent, you go back to the recruitment process and find out whether it was through, backdoor. And then the other, for every job you advertise now in Nigeria, there will be no less than 100 people applying for it.
So,
okay, I'm just wondering, pardon me, what role, because most times it's always federal government that labor is asking or making these demands, or states, as it were. What role does the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association play here in your demands?
Well, I think to a very large extent, although there are terrible employers in the private sector, but unionism in the private sector is a bit more viable. We don't even, this one we are talking of national strike, state this and that, you don't hear it, there is a national strike in the private sector. If there is no payment of salary in the electricity sector, the workers there will take it up. If it is in the petroleum sector, the workers there will take it up. If it is in a bank, we have been so used to it. But the public service, anytime you are hearing of national strike, is either non-payment of salary or minimum wage. In the private sector, most of them are not on 18,000 or whatever, minimum wage. So we negotiate at times every 2 years, with our own condition of service. So, but the problem we have is usually the one you are mentioning, states, federal. And so long as they remain that way, the problems will continue to reoccur.